Hi everyone. I just want to recap on something we did about last year. It was about November last year. I did a workshop on board work, and I think it's a very good idea just to have a look at some of these things again, just to refresh. And also, many of you might have missed it. We also have new teachers this year who might actually get a bit out of this workshop. So of course this will be very short and concrete, and if you have any questions you can ask me afterwards. I remember saying that beginnings are very, very important when it comes to lessons. It's that first impression that you make, and it's also always good to put something interesting on the board, not necessarily something that you can see right now. You would remember that I put this on the board a few times, and I wanted learners to try and find the names of bands. If you have a look at this, you can see, for example, Queen, Prince, Guns N' Roses, the list goes on, Gorilla, Cypress Hill, etc. That also worked pretty well. But there are things you can do in the board which is much simpler. Also, I just want to thank Paul Silligson. He gave a workshop similar to what I've prepared right now. So a lot of the ideas that I will present to you today are actually by him, but I also added quite a bit extra. Right, so here's a blackboard. Of course, there are many forms now. They can be white, black, and then we have the interactive whiteboard. But let's just look at the essential, the basics. And it was started by James Pillins in 1801. And there's a whiteboard. There's a blackboard. Here's a few examples of things that I've seen on blackboards in the past. Before I walk into the classroom, before my students walk into the classroom actually, I sometimes like to put something on the board so that as they sit down they can actually see something, and they can start thinking about it, at least start thinking kind of in English, at least, like who won the football last night. And they could chat with each other, ask each other. It might even be in Polish, but still, it's somehow connected to English. You can start something else. Maybe it's not a sports class. So you can say, what's the most beautiful city you know? Just that's enough to get the chat going. As you walk into the classroom, you say, okay, now you had a chance to read this, so tell me about the most beautiful city you know. Of course, it can also be connected with the topic that you are going to do, a topic you did the previous week. Or you can just draw a picture. Yeah, you all know this one. I think this is a Mexican on a bicycle. I think. What's this? And that's 5 minutes discussion there already. Anagrams are popular. I don't use that enough actually. I forgot about that. Now, what's this word? Do you know? Oh, I don't remember actually. Gap. So I'm definitely thinking, what's the word, about going to Spain. So maybe a revamp of something you did the week before. Word order. Oh, that's a good one. Sentences worth, or perhaps you gave them a mistake that they have to spot. I've never gone there. What's wrong with this sentence? Where is the mistake? Missing word. I'd love to go swimming tonight. So you just leave that, and afterwards ask them, elicit the missing word. Or you can have an extra word. Yeah, we all know the article incident. What's the difference between a country and the country? Now that's a good one, isn't it? On the blackboard. Have a look here. I'm so enthusiastic. I want to teach, so I put this on this, and the words just go on because I'm eliciting words, and it's just going like crazy. And look at the mess. Really, we need to think twice before we cover our board in new words, because I don't know if this really, really helps. I'm very guilty of doing this still. So yeah, that's me. It's me again. that's not me. And yeah, that's me. I tried to have a bit of order there, but it's not ideal, is it? So yeah, I did the same thing. I ran out of space, so I did something there. So ideally, they say, not me, that you need to have 1/3 of new words on the left. It could be on the right, yes, a column. 2/3 actual working space. And then your lesson names or topics at the top. Not that. Here are some words we have on the board, for example. Something else we need to consider. So here's a red car, stop over, absolutely crazy. That's fine. What about this one? Which do you prefer? This one or this one? This one and this one. Well, this one takes less space, doesn't it? And this one, for me, it just shouts. I prefer the other one. I think that it's almost intimidating, if I can call it that. Same words. Lego mice toes fat. Okay, great, but maybe we can give them a little bit more information without using too much space, you know. What about this? They'd like to know what part of speech it is, yeah? Something else which I think is extremely important is by adding an article or something else before to give it a bit more context and just to learn more language. A leg, an arm, 2 eyes, some toes, and a very fat. Right, here's another thing we can look at. The word red is the main word here, but we can use a corporate style way of showing how the word is actually used by turning it into 3 columns. You have bright red eyes, dark red blood, etc., etc. And this could give the learner a much better idea of usage of this particular word. Oh, that's okay, isn't it? Pretty nice. Anyone can draw. Even me, look. You know, and sometimes it helps a lot, really, just to draw a little picture, get it going. We had a workshop before about drawing techniques. I remember I showed it to you, and I have another workshop planned with regards to drawings. Actually, to let learners draw, but I hope we have time for that this year. Anyone can draw. Okay, there's a little truck. I'm just showing off there. So working with processing, manipulating language on the board. So not a very good picture here, but you can see these are little pieces of paper that I wrote on particular words, and I stuck it onto the board with a blue tack. And all I asked them to do is just to categorize it as to verbs and nouns. And the thing is, once you do it on paper, it just saves so much time because you can use it again and again. You can do revision next week. You can use it for another group, and it actually looks better. You know, I mean, chalk's great, but categorizing, putting the words there in a mess like they were earlier in chalk, you can actually move it around and you can tidy it up much better. There we go. It's enlarged. There's something here too, categorizing. This was taken out of a book. It looked exactly like that, and some of the gaps were missing. It's a great activity, but the thing is, if you do this and you blow it up and you put it on the board, it's the same thing. You can make a skeleton and they can use it again the following week. Right, here's something I've done. I took a poster of Shrek and I cut it up and I laminated each piece, and it's not exactly perfect. It's more like a mosaic type of picture, but it serves the purpose of kids coming to the front, trying to put the puzzle together, learning parts of the body, and it's lots of fun. And you might say, well, you know, that must have cost a bit. It wasn't very cheap, but the thing is, I've used it 100 times, so if you're worried about money, you get it back, 100-fold. It's really no big deal. And if you want to borrow this from me, of course, no problem, it's in my cupboard. Yes, and similar to what I've said earlier. And something else I like to do is this. I like to create little characters. The guy on the left, I always call him Gustav, and the one on the right, her name is Grażyna, I think. And I create a dialogue on the board, actually. You know, for example, he's the father. He says, it's time you did your homework, and she would say, I'd rather, and she's thinking, I'd better. So those are the 3 types of language I described. And then when you add it with characters, someone's actually saying it, and it helps a bit. I've noticed that. Yeah, and if you look at the right of this board, actually I had a bit of coloured chalk, and we have some in the port here too, so you should use it. On the right hand side there, with some new vocab, homework at the bottom. Oh yeah. And the left, yeah, I like to use phonetics sometimes to practice that. Yeah, outgoing, selfish, etc. Alright, that's it. Thank you very much indeed. If there's any questions, of course, you know where to find me.